at Las Vegas, Nevada. But I spend half the time in Nevada and half the time in New York. Not totally half anymore, but we're moving back to do that. We were bi-coastal for quite a while. Nevada and Las Vegas is really home now, but my husband and I are forever New Yorkers. So we are looking to go back there as well. So really, really pumped to be here because, man, a lot happened last year. Right? A lot happened last year. Hey, Ebony, Houston, we got upstate New York, Binghamton. That's where my sister lives. Love Binghamton. DC, Wisconsin, PA, Canada, Portugal, South Florida, Miami, Ohio. Oh my gosh, all over. I freaking love it. So I want you to take a second and let me know in the comments if 2022 was a hard year. I want you to drop a 1 in the comments. And when I say hard year, maybe you had a great financial year. We had we increased our profit by almost $100,000. That's why we're here today to talk about, right? We had a great financial year, but we also had a really shitty year in other ways. We had a very tough personal life year in many, many ways. And so it doesn't just mean that your business, right? Maybe you made great money in your business. Maybe you had the best year in your business that you've had to date, but you had a lot of struggles getting there and there's things that didn't line up. So just take a sec, a lot of duality. We've got a 1. And obviously you don't have to share anything you don't want to, of course, but I just encourage you to be as participatory as possible. Now, my second question is if you're ready to stop saying that, if you're ready to stop saying, man, 2022 is a hard year and let that stop you from having your best year in 2023, I also want you to put a 1. Who is like, I'm done complaining about last year. Last year was last year. I'm moving forward. And you're almost sick of your own voice, right? I know a lot of my clients and myself are definitely in that camp. And so I want you to know you're not alone, right? Hell yes. Just because you had a tough year, just because you had a tough season, maybe you had a tough few years, does not mean you can't change it around. And that's really what I want to help you get into that mindset going forward. We're going to go over a lot in this next hour-ish. I'm going to try to get it done in an hour. If you've been to a workshop of mine, you know we over deliver. I hope not overwhelmed, but I'm giving you some really good stuff. So I want to just set the stage for this. The way I'm going to do this, I have a slideshow. I'm going to kind of go back and forth for slideshow and then face to camera a few times. But I am going to give you some strategies, some questions, some things to really take away and do that's going to help you implement. And then I'm also going to give my story in conjunction with it because you're here because you want to know what we did. What did we do to increase our profit by almost $100,000 last year? And I'm really excited because we actually have our resident bookkeeper, Katie, shout out Early Accounting by Katie. You're in my slideshow. And thanks to her, we're having this workshop pretty much because if it wasn't for my numbers, I couldn't see clearly, I was like, holy shit, look what we did last year. I need to talk about this. And I kind of knew it was happening. You kind of, if you're keeping track. But when I got the final, I was very excited. So get yourself a numbers person. All righty. Let's do this. Okay. Let me share my screen and we're going to get to it. And I really encourage you, be participatory in this workshop. I love to talk to my people. If you've been on any of my workshops, if you've been in any of my programs, you know that I really, really love talking to you. I want to make this interactive. I want you to ask questions. I'm going to answer questions at the end. So if you're ready to learn and dive in and take advantage of this time that we have together, please, that's what I am here for. I'm here to help you. Oh yeah, I'm shouting Katie's out, Instagram out, by the way, so you can screenshot that. So I just want to make this chat small so I don't just see myself. Okay, we are here. Let's do this. 3 changes I made to increase my profit by almost $100,000 last year while working less hours. Welcome. So hi, I'm Meg. You guys probably know who I am if you're here, but if for some reason you got introduced to me by someone else or someone referred this, I have built 3 successful businesses in the last 10 years, the latest to over 3 million in revenue in the last 5 years. And the thing I'm about to say might shock you unless you've closely followed my story, but it could have been a lot more. But something big happened in my life in 2020 besides the pandemic, like everyone. My husband and I separated for 6 months. And when we got back together, I knew something had to change and it had to change quickly. And so I really did a lot of cutting to my product suite and my business model. And I cut a few key programs that, made me go into 2021 with $30,000 less of monthly recurring revenue, monthly. talk about a hit, not only to my financials, but my ego. And that was the hardest part. I'm not going to lie. That really was my ego. But I got to a point where I was like, I don't care. I don't care if I have to sacrifice income or sacrifice saying certain things on the internet to make my marriage first while slowly rebuilding. And that's what I needed to do. And that's not necessarily going to be everyone's MO. I've helped a lot of clients remodel, and that's not the case for everyone, right? And 2021 really was a learning year. It's the year that I experimented in some really big ways, some things working out really great and some failing miserably. I'm going to talk about that a little bit through here. But by 2022, I kind of found more of my groove. I rebuilt my confidence back up, and I realized how I wanted to operate as both a business owner and a wife to get back to the income that we wanted to bring in. And it all came down to a strategic business remodel, really focusing in on what brought me joy, money, and impacted my audience without burning me out, taking up a ton of time, or bleeding into my personal life. And because of this, we were able to increase profits from 2021 to 2022 by almost $100,000 and are projected to double that, if not more, in 2023. So welcome. This is my adorable dog, Luna. My husband is not home right now. So if you hear some scratching at the door, that's because she wants to come in and say hi, but she is out there because she will distract me. So quick shout out again, Orderly Counting by Katie. You can screenshot this. Katie is the reason we're here right now, because if I don't have my numbers in front of me, I don't know what my increases are. So if you do nothing else after this workshop, get a great bookkeeper or CFO who gives you your numbers clear as day. It will make the execution of this a lot easier. You can't change what you don't know. And before we really dive into the nitty gritty, I don't want you to place me on a pedestal. Right. And I think that's really common in this space. It's very, very common to place people on a pedestal. And I want you to, I'm moving some people to the panelists so that you can chat. I want you to drop a 5 in the chat if you have placed people, maybe I'm even one of them, if I've worked with you, there's some people on here I've worked with before, on a pedestal, right? I've done it. I'm going to put a 5 in the chat for myself, right? And I've looked at mentors, or I've looked at people that maybe I haven't worked with one-on-one, but I really admire, and I've put them on a pedestal. Like, they must know so much more. They must be so much better at all these things. At the end of the day, it's not necessarily true, right? I had the success I did because I had a lot of time and energy and work put into this success. I might have had a leg up in certain situations. And that's the same for some of my mentors, right? I never think, though, when I look at mentors that I've had, or I look at people I follow and I want to learn from, I don't think that they're better than me or more worthy or more capable, right? And I don't want you to either. They just got started earlier, or they figured something out that I wanted to learn, or they maybe got some handouts. Maybe they have more experience, right? Just because someone has like more experience doesn't mean they're better than you or more worthy. And I think we need to stop putting people on these pedestals, right? And instead take inspiration. Be like, wow, if they can do it, I can do it too, right? Be more inspired. So I just want to set that tone, because I really want you to be able to learn, not from the, oh, I wish I could do that, but kind of perspective. I really want you to open your mind and your heart to what's possible here. So anyone who's just hopping on, I'm promoting you to panelists so you could be able to chat. So don't worry, I'm not promoting you to panelists to do anything. So no pressure there. All right, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, great. Lastly, when you see this on any of the slides, that is because I encourage you to take a screenshot, because there's some really good gold there that you'll probably want to save. So I want to start off by just sharing this quote. I read this morning, and I added this last minute because it just really stuck with me. And I feel like it's very fitting for a lot of you who put that you had a tough year last year, right? Our self-perception determines our behavior. If we think that we're small, limited, inadequate creatures, then we tend to behave that way. And the energy we radiate reflects those thoughts, no matter what we do. If we think we're magnificent creatures with an infinite abundance of love and power to give, then we tend to behave that way. Once again, the energy around us reflects our state of awareness. And essentially, it's a confidence thing, right? If we are holding on to 2022 or 2021 or whatever hard year you had or time period you had, and going into this year or this season or this launch with that mindset and that mentality and that energy, then it's going to be hard. And people feel that. They feel that. I'm sure you've seen that, right? You've seen someone go on Instagram stories or even send out an email and you're like, something feels off about this. Like they're saying the right things, but doesn't feel right. Like I feel this strain, right? Or I feel this like exhaustion seeping through them. People can feel that. And we want you to get that confidence way up so that you can be like, I'm a badass. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday. It doesn't matter what happened last year. It doesn't matter if my launch wasn't as amazing as I wanted it to be, or I had to take a break, or I'm rebuilding or whatever. You're incredible and you need to own that. And that's the kind of energy that you really need to go into this year with. Okay, let's dive in. So change number one that we made first was a perspective change on money and reclaiming confidence. So I'm going to go through that first. And then the second and third are very strategic, practical things. So I want to set you up, set the stage up. So because you're going to be taking lots of notes or screenshots in the second two parts of this. So change number one on perspective and money. I really had to change this. So when shit goes down and you experience tragedy, you start to look at things differently, right? That's just very natural. And just start to realize what actually matters. So I didn't want to let money, goals, and invisible self-imposed monetary ranks in this industry that I thought I got away from when I was in network marketing rob me of presence and happiness in the precious moments I had with my family, especially when my father-in-law in his last few months with us. So I had to change my perspective on money pretty early on in the year from something that gave me worth and credibility to something that gave me choices and freedom. And I really just want to repeat that one more time because this was so huge to set me up for the rest of the year. I changed my perspective on money from something that gave me worth and credibility, like I am worthy because I make this amount of money, right? To something that gave me choices and freedom, because the other way was just pressure versus like, damn, I am so lucky that I have this money right now because it is giving me freedom. It is giving me choices, right? Because of the money, I was able to have my husband completely stop playing poker, which is how he brings in money, and just spend quality time with his dad during his last few months. Those are precious moments that we will never get back. Right? Those are incredible memories that he has. Because of money, I was able to do only one structured launch last year and really be with my family and myself during these really hard times. Because of money, I was able to take off 2 weeks without missing a beat when I was miscarrying and needed to unplug and literally could not work, right? Could not work. Because of money, I was able to max out my SEP IRA, buy a new car in full, pay for an expensive surgery out of pocket, and fully support our bi-postal life. Money has given my family and I so much, but the amount I make on a monthly or yearly basis or from one launch does not depict my skills and worth as a coach, right? If I did not fully embody this, I would not have been able to be with my family as fully as I was last year. And I can guarantee I would not have increased my profit by almost $100,000. So if you had a tough year, or even if you had a really great financial year, but it still, again, felt hard, like I said in the beginning, I want you to know you are worthy as you are right fucking now. No amount will increase that worth, no amount. And you have to know that to your core, not just share it on social media. So it's really time for you to reclaim that confidence. So if you don't believe it's possible, you won't get there, right? We all know that. Like if we don't believe something, it's not going to happen. If we write an affirmation a million times, we can affirm ourselves to death. If we don't believe it, it's not going to start to happen, right? You have to increase your belief. So before we dig into the nitty gritty in steps 2 and 3, we have to give you this little boost. So I want you to screenshot this and I want you to take time after this class to do this more in depth, but take time right now to write down what you're really great at. What are you really, really great at? This is your not so humble brag. I want you to shout it from the rooftops. And if you have chat access, some of you need to go over to promote to panelists. Hi, Britt. Hey, Paulina. I want you to type in the chat. What are you really great at? Brag. You got a bunch of people here who are watching. Brag what you're really great at. Number 2, what are some really badass things that you did last year that is proof you can reach your goals this year? Celebrate some wins. And then number 3, what are some things your clients have said about you and your service in the last year that you could hold on to as further evidence you can increase your profitability? And again, I want you to do these after, but I'd love for you to answer one of these 3 questions in the chat right now. I love a good humble brag. Holding space for people, really good at helping people create their first 10K month as a service provider fast. Amazing, Meg. Helping people feel safe, that's huge. Really good at helping people get control of their finances. helping women get clarity on their vision and step into their courage. Ooh, love that. Bookkeeping, accounting, listening to what my clients really need. Amazing with helping coaches find a strategy that works for them. Oh my gosh, so many. Designing programs and transforming lives. Oh my gosh, so many. Like, look at all of this. Look what you guys have done. Look what you've done. You've done so much. You've done so much. And I really want to encourage you to hold on to this. Like, do this afterwards. And that's going to be your brag board. Whenever that confidence is knocking, because to reach these goals you want to reach this year, my friend, you need to believe you can do it, right? You cannot increase your profitability from a state of desperation. We have to get you into gratitude. So rapid fire, list out as many things that you're grateful for in general right now, and drop a few in the chat. I just want you to brain dump. What am I grateful for right now? Just really quickly. I want to get you into that mindset before we get into the real strategic things. And then list out as many things or experiences you have had because of money. You can do one of those two things in the chat right now. And Brittany and Paulina, I'm promoting you to panelists, not because you're going to talk, but because I want you to be able to use the chat. Don't worry. Finished my master's, traveled to Croatia. My family supported me in my decision to reject my job offer and go full-time in my business. Yes, amazing. NLP cert, my baby. Oh, love that, Courtney. That's beautiful. Michaela, I'm able to travel the world with money. Amazing. Helping women, best-selling book. Look at these. Like, look at the badasses we have right now in this room. It's pretty incredible. Pretty incredible. So this is kind of like Beyonce, Sasha Fierce, right? Your alter ego. And this is really what I want you to hold on to whenever you really need to show up with confidence, right? I want you to be able to pull on this persona anytime you're marketing or selling to increase your confidence. Your alter ego can be a celebrity, a persona you've created, an imaginary character, a symbol, a place, really anything you want. It just has to engage you in this feeling of badass confidence, right? So looking at the answers you just had to what you're really great at, what your clients have said about you, take a minute and write down the qualities you want to embody whenever you're selling. I want you to take about a minute, looking at the clock, and drop a few in the chat. Let's stop my share for a second. Love it. Love these words. Revolutionary, badass, transparent. Amazing, amazing. Witty. I love that. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, and now I want you to close your eyes. I want you to close your eyes for a second. And we're going to just do a real quick, like, I'm not a big visualist. I mean, I like visualizations, but I'm not a pro at this. I'm just walking you through it, but I know it can really help. And so I want to just have you close your eyes for 1 second with those words that you just listed out in mind. I'm going to play a quick song. We're just going to do this for 30 seconds. Hold on 1 second. Anyone like Trevor Hall? Great. So close your eyes and just take a few deep breaths in and out. Plant your feet on the floor, get comfortable. Try to really just be here in the present moment right now. And we're just going to visualize for a second. Just really settle in, take those deep breaths. Now, I want you to think about those words or those phrases you just listed out that reflect you being your most confident, badass self. What do those words mean to you? What comes to mind visually when you say those words? From the mountain to the sea, I have everything I need. What is a visual representation of this that you can hold on to? Once you've got that, I obviously can't see you, but I want you to put your hand on your heart and be like, got it. I got the visual representation of what those words mean. And just really breathe into that. When you are being these words, when you are seeing this visualization, this is when you're locking in that confidence that you need whenever you're going to sell, when you're going to launch, when you're going to get on a sales call, when you're going to plan. Anything you're going to do around your business that really requires you to be your most confident self, you're going to call back to this visualization, to this image that's coming to mind. So really sit with that and take a few more deep breaths. And then I want you to come back to the room. This is your alter ego. This is your ego, your alter ego. This is your version of Beyonce's Sasha Fierce. This is you being your most badass, confident self. And this, again, is a persona that you can grab onto at any moment, any moment. And I really want you to take a second as you're coming back to the room. And I want you to write this down, right? Get a visual on your computer, your phone, make an image, have it be the background of your phone or the background of your computer for whatever image came to mind. Hang it up all over your damn house if you want to, right? Like, I want this to be everywhere. Have it so present as such a powerful reminder of what you're capable of. And maybe for you, that's a testimonial. Maybe it's a testimonial that you have up there. It's going to be really weird and random, but mine, for some people, mine is the actress Charlize Theron, because when I visualize her, I just visualize this like radiant, beautiful goddess badass who is so malleable. Like, she's played so many different characters and so many different roles, and she's always such a, oh, she owns it, right? Like in Monster, she plays like a monster, you know, and then she's this like gorgeous creature in another movie. And I just love how she so confidently steps into all those roles. And so that's actually my visualization as a person, as an actress. It doesn't have to be for you. It could be this, you know, it could be a flower. It could be anything for you, but something that really resonates with you. So again, like, this is something that I really want you to have in your back pocket when you're ready to sell. Okay, there we go. Let's do it. All right, let me share my screen. And if anyone is open to sharing what theirs was, I'd love to see it. Would love to see what yours was. Okay, so I know you see people on the internet who are bringing in tons of clients and seem to be having an easy time selling, that you secretly think you're more skilled in then, right? You're like, but I know I'm so good at this. So it kind of elicits that what the F feeling. Why are they having success and I've hit this plateau or this standstill? A lot of it comes down to confidence. They're confident, whether it's true or they're faking it till they make it, it's working. You can borrow confidence anytime you need it with your alter ego. So please do not discount this portion of the workshop. In fact, I think it's more important than the strategic stuff, because you can implement the strategic shit so you're blue in the face. If you don't believe it, it's not going to work. So I want you to commit. Say, I commit. You don't have to say this whole thing because it's a long sentence, I realize, but I commit to embodying my most badass self in the chat. If you're willing to commit to this part, please say, I commit. Thank you, my friends. All right. I see a lot of I commits coming through. I love it. Yes, Gabby, going all in with the whole sentence. All right. So change number 2, customer retention. We are switching gears. We are switching gears. But I wanted to set that up for you. Customer retention, focus, and offer creation from current clients. All right, let's dive in. So according to outboundengine.com, acquiring a new customer can cost 5 times more than retaining an existing customer. Increasing customer retention by 5% can increase profits from 25 to 95%. That is huge. That is huge, right? It is so much cheaper to extend the lifetime value of your client than trying to get new clients, right? And not just if you're doing, maybe you're not doing ads, maybe you're not actually spending money on your marketing necessarily, but you're spending time, you're spending energy, right? That is money to me. That's time and energy that you can be saving. So instead of just launching things because I had before, I kind of took a step back last year and I did some market research, publicly on stories, in email, etc., but a lot in DM conversations, especially with my past clients. And I asked them what they felt was missing that would help them move forward and make progress in their business, what their goals were and what they felt was keeping them from reaching them, and what they were specifically struggling with. Pretty simple, not mind-blowing comments, but I still want you to take a screenshot and ask your people this too. The thing is, a lot of this shit's simple. It's not super complicated, but we just don't do it and we forget. And we think we're advanced or we're too far removed from that. No, you need to get the pulse on what your people need. And I did that, right? From this, two things were born that really, really were such a hit for us last year. One was a program called Create Your Booked Out Group Program. It was a 2-day intensive I ran with my really good friend Eve, helping people map out their group program to structure, group program structure, and the process to sell it. There was a demand for that in our audience. And then the second was my unique expansion mastermind, which is a 12-month mastermind to help established entrepreneurs reach their next level of success in business by collaborating with other like-minded women, but in a true mastermind fashion, not one-on-one mastermind hybrid like mine used to be. And these are the beautiful women inside the mastermind. So I had run masterminds in the past, but as you'll see in the next section, when I walk you through my APEC framework, I realized that my energy was really being leaked in the way I had set it up. I loved it. I loved the clients I was working with. Some of them are on here right now. In past masterminds, it was really one-on-one coaching with a touch of group interaction. My clients had Monday to Friday one-on-one access to me and private calls each month. There really was very little differentiation between this and my actual one-on-one. And because of that, even the group calls, while incredible, became more hot seat coaching than the women truly leaning on each other and actually masterminding, right? I wanted this time around it to be a true mastermind where I'm more of the facilitator, the lead, and the people in the group really help each other. So I altered the deliverables, I altered the length, and I altered the price. It went from being $2,500 a month for monthly one-on-one calls and one-on-one daily Voxer for 6 months to $1,500 a month for quarterly one-on-one calls, group Voxer, and 12 months. Both editions included 2 monthly group calls, but even on these group calls now, we do way more true masterminding. This honored both my energy and it created the atmosphere I wanted for the client, a space where they essentially get 10 coaches instead of just one and get to lean on each other and not just me for their growth, right? And it also attracted a client who was a little bit more established in their entrepreneurial journey, who was a self-proclaimed boss and didn't need a lot of hand-holding, someone who takes radical responsibility for their results and gives just as much as they ask. You could take a screenshot of this. I'm going to walk you through briefly the selling process for both of these new offers. Because both of these offers came from the clients essentially asking for it. Again, remember, this is clients that basically said, hey, I want this now from you. You've helped me with this. Now I'm ready for this. The actual selling process was very low energy, essentially zero costs, which massively increased our profitability. So the group program that I did with my friend Eve, we did a warm-up 3-day live series on Instagram before we opened up Cart for 1 week. We had a 24K launch for a 2-day program commitment. We were specifically speaking to our warm audience, people who had already worked with us in some way and were craving that next step, creating their group program. It was so specific that it was easy for people to distinguish if they needed it or not. And we already had the audience, the trust built with our audience, right? And that was, again, for 2 days, right? We made $24,000 for 2 days of work, essentially. Of course, we had to create it, obviously, all of that, but now we're working on making that a passive program that we can sell. The mastermind, I did a private invite with people I had already built relationships with, who I had in mind for this specific mastermind, some of who joined right away, some who recently joined in December. We filled 5 spots right away just from this process and a week of stories and lives. Again, because I was speaking to my warm audience and not trying to prep or educate a cold audience. The people that I was speaking to in both scenarios were problem and solution aware and had built trust with me. This is really important. If I was trying to create a new offer that was not based on what people asked for, right? And I had to really educate them, that would have taken a lot more effort and energy. Nothing wrong with that, but I didn't have the space for that last year, right? And so I was like, what can I create? How can I bring in some more profit with little energy from people I already love working with, who I know need this next step, right? Because most of them had already worked with me in some way, even if it was a small masterclass or something like that. So creating altering offers to help your past clients along their journey. How can they keep working with you? This was also how I signed 7 private clients at the start of 2022 without launching. I sent a private invite both through email and DM to people I had close relationships with and gave them a special price contract for signing on early. This created $130,000 of sales for 6 months in 2022, no expenses and no front face marketing. Ooh, let me make sure everyone's muted. Okay, everyone's muted. Good. So take a screenshot of this. What is, and I want you to really do this homework. What is the next step after your signature offer that you can create an offer from for your client? And I want to make this clear. This doesn't have to be something you publicly promote, right? I'm a big believer in focus and like zoning in. You might be someone who likes to launch a million things, and that's great, right? Your business model can be whatever you want it to be. I've helped people who are like that, and then I help people who have literally one offer and just sell the crap out of that offer and make a lot of money with that one offer. So you can do both, right? But I just want to make it clear, this is something that you probably can sell behind the scenes. I want you to think that when you're thinking about what's that next step offer. How can you probably sell it behind the scenes to people you already have in your audience? How can you incentivize them to keep working with you in the same way, creating custom versions of your offers based on what they need? Example, my full one-on-one usually comes with a 2-day in-person retreat. But I had 2 clients in Europe at the time that still weren't comfortable coming to the States for a while. So I took that portion out and I lowered the price. Of course, I love them. I want to work with them. I understand. I'm not like, this is the offer, nothing can be adjusted, right? Especially because it was people that I had worked with in the past and I knew them, right? 2 things I just added for you. You're going to take a screenshot of the next 2 slides as well, that really contributed to profit last year and made selling other offers way easier. One is a VIP upgrade strategy. You might have heard this before. But basically what this is having a VIP upgrade to a free launch event, right? So I've done this 2 times in a little over a year and it worked out really, really well both times. You simply have a separate upgrade option, anywhere from $27, you could even have it as high as $500 if you want. Most of the time I've done it, it's been lower cost. The highest it was $97 for your audience to purchase that emulates the experience they'll have in your program, in the program you're pitching at the end of your event. I'm going to explain this in a second. So for example, I had a free offer course that I did a live launch with, and that free offer course sold into my group program, right? So you could either join for free and get so much value, of course, or you could do the VIP version for $97. And in that VIP version, you got group calls after each of the free lives that I did. So I would do my live, hop off, an hour later, I'd hop on a Zoom only with those VIP people. And for those 5 days, they got 5 group coaching calls. They got to really experience what it would be like inside the program. And what they would get. The first time we did this, 8 out of the 12 people we had in VIP joined the program right away. It was a $5,000 program. 8 people joined right away. They didn't need to really think it through because they got to experience what it would be like. I also had my co-coaches come in so that they got to experience what my co-coaches were like, who they are, their personality, how all 3 of us vibe together. We all 3 went on one call together as well. And that way they really got to experience that. So how can you mimic the experience that your program offers for a low cost, right? This again helps make it a no-brainer because they've had a taste of what it's like. And this didn't cost anything extra besides my time, obviously. And we actually made money from it. We made money from the 97. So I want you to remember that. This is continued. Since the program, the structure of this, since the program I was launching into was a group program, I had 5 group calls after each free event, like I said, just for the VIP people, which was open Q&A, hot seat coaching. I also brought in my co-coaches so they could get to know you. I just said that. I'm jumping ahead. How you structure yours will depend on what your offer is like. I know I get that question a ton if I share this with my private clients. So it's going to depend. If you don't have a group coaching program, it probably doesn't make sense for you to do it just like mine is. How can we emulate the experience of the offer you're selling, right? So some pros, it helps make the buying decision easier for them at the end. And it also gives you a little bump in income, can offset ad costs if you're doing ads. The next thing that we did that I wanted to share with you is a mini version strategy. I'm sure so many of you have heard this. You've heard the term mini minds. You've heard the alternative offers, offers that maybe it's a 6-month offer, you make it a 3-month, things like that. But I ran a mini mind for 3 weeks near the end of 2022, which was a sneak peek into my full mastermind. I had 1 person join my full mastermind and another purchase an intensive immediately after. So I want you to think, how can you add mini versions of your offers your audience can try for a lower cost before committing to the real deal? And the thing that was cool about this is, it makes the selling of the bigger thing a little bit easier. And you can almost do it behind the scenes in a way, right? And again, it just helps people start to learn more about you and get to work with you at a lower cost before they're going to commit further, right? Especially if you have really high ticket stuff. Okay, let me look at the chat, make sure we're good. Yay, yay. Oh, Gabby, that's true. Gabby, you did join the VIP version and join the mastermind. I love it. I love it. Okay, change number 3. This is going to be very nitty gritty. We're walking through the APEC framework, a proper audit and expense evaluation. In this section, we're going to go over my APEC framework, a process to audit your business to see what's keeping you stuck, what's working, where you have potential to grow, and what you need to remodel in your business to get there. So first, we're going to audit, right? You can't know where you're going if you don't know where you're at. So we're going to walk through a couple different things. First is the energy, right? After we lost my husband's father, I did this evaluation. I literally walked myself through my framework. By the way, really quick, anyone have a great framework that they works with so many other people and they don't do it on themselves and you're like, why don't I do this for myself? I had one of those moments. I was like, do this yourself. What are you doing? This works. So I did this evaluation because I knew I'd have less time. I knew I wouldn't have as much time and energy to operate that the way I used to, right? We were also actively trying for a baby and I was emotionally drained being there for my husband and mourning myself as well. This happened early on in the year. This happened in March. And I made a bold decision right then and there that I was going to simplify and not do things that drained my energy, even if they worked, even if they brought me in a ton of money, right? I really needed to do that audit. So I want to take a screenshot of this. Again, a lot of this stuff I want you to do after when you have more space and time. First question, looking back at your previous 12 months, what were the seasons that you were most energized? When were you like, God, I was on it. I was just skyrocketing. I was so excited. I felt so on. Things felt really great. And I challenge you not to say no time, no season. I do not want to hear you say there were none. I don't want to hear that. So I want to make sure that you're committing to picking something. Something worked. Something worked. So I want you to commit to that. What were you doing during those seasons? Were you launching? Were you creating a lot of content? Were you serving while things were happening behind the scenes? What do you think specifically contributed to this increase in energy? Oh, that should say increase in energy. Could be circumstances outside of your business actively, as well as like starting a new workout routine or sleep schedule. Maybe you started a workout routine or you started being really strict with when you went to bed. Looking back at your previous 12 months, we're going to do the opposite. What were the seasons you were most drained? What were you doing during those seasons? Were you launching? Were you creating a lot of content? Were you serving while things were happening? Same thing. But what specifically contributed to this decrease, right? And again, this could be things in your personal life that were going on. So overall analysis, what energized you last year and what drained you? I really want you to take this seriously and go through this because this is going to really affect the rest of the framework that we go through. So my story really quick, again, like I told you, I'm going to give you a little blip and then share how this applied to me so you can see it in real time. Now I'm that weirdo that I like launching. I really do. I don't know why. It's so fun for me. I think because I have such a non-attachment to it now. I've been doing it for so long, but like any human, I still get tired. It still drains my energy. And I knew that I wasn't going to be able to do as much of it in 2022. So I really started to dive into evergreen enrollment and turned pretty much all of my programs evergreen. So how did we sell evergreen, right? We combined funnels and push periods. Where my office people at, this is kind of creepy. My OBM found this and I was like, this is terrifying and wonderful at the same time. So having a funnel, obviously having a funnel you push traffic to on an ongoing basis, whether organically in your call to actions, for posts, PS on emails, ads on podcasts, links in your bio, CTAs on your stories, DM systems, or Facebook ads, right? Those are all places that you can push organically. I'm just making some people panelists. If I'm asking you to be a panelist, do not worry. You're not going to be on screen or anything like that. It's just so you can type in the chat box. Our main funnel was to my SOSA program. This was the format. A freebie, went to an email sequence, then pitched the offer. So we had a freebie. It was a 5-day outline your offer course. The email sequence dripped over the 5 days with the videos that they were learning each of those days. And the sales sequence pitched the offer dripped over a week with a discount code after the 5th day. So after that 5th day, they got a discount code. That's when the sales sequence started. And they had that discount code for a week. This was a high ticket program, which meant that most people going through the funnel wouldn't buy right away when we pitched if they were extremely cold to me, right? Maybe they just found me through an ad or my social media. If they had been following for a while, they were more likely to convert. We launched the funnel in late March, early April, and then I moved into a push period, which is where a good chunk of these leads converted. So again, I can't say this enough. If you are bringing new people into your world, whether that's through ads, whether that's through strategic partnerships that you're doing with friends or not competitors, but people in your audience who have similar audiences, but different offers, right? So they're kind of looking at them as like, how can we help each other grow? How can we combine audiences and just share networks in a sense, right? Maybe that's what you're doing, or you have reels go viral. You're really, really focused on your content strategy. You're getting tons of people following you, right? Sending them somewhere is really useful. And so during that time though, if they just followed you, sure, some people are going to be like, this is my person I'm applying right now. A lot of people need more time than that. A lot of people, especially if it's a high ticket offer, even if they're making a ton of money, they need more time before they're gonna be like, I want to work with this person. I need a little bit more time, right? And so especially when something's high ticket, that's why when we didn't get a ton of sales right after day 5, I knew that we weren't. I was like, this is a high ticket program. If this was $500, we would have gotten a ton of sales because I know how valuable that free course was. We had a ton of people say that, but I knew it was going to take a little bit of time. So we did push periods, like a mini launch, just not as intense, and most likely without an email opt-in because we already used the email opt-ins we had the months before. So it was a period of few weeks where every other day you're talking about your offer, right? So I suggest adding some kind of incentive, bonus, or discount for them during this push period, and stress why now versus joining later, since they can join later if it's an evergreen program, right? What do they have to gain by joining now? And what do they have to lose by joining later? But don't harp on this. This is something that I wouldn't harp on this, like, especially in your marketing, like if you don't join now, your life will stay painful, right? I'm not a fan of that kind of marketing, and I'm sure you're not either. But really harp more on like, what is possible if you do this now? Like, why wait? I want you to experience all of this amazingness now, right? Especially as you're sharing your client testimonials and things like that. This is great for people who've been joining your funnel or your community, but didn't buy through there, right? It creates awareness, urgency, incentives to tip them over. We had 10 people join in this 2-week push period, which resulted in $55,000. And note, I had to push my push period 2 weeks because right when the push period was supposed to start, I found out I was miscarrying. Literally, it was supposed to start the Monday after. I found out on Friday. And I only share this because I don't believe this affected our numbers, pushing it 2 weeks. I pushed it 2 weeks. I do not think it made a difference, right? So again, these kind of little push periods, they're not as stressful as a launch can be because we didn't put money into the push periods. This was taking advantage of all the traffic that had been coming in from the months before. Life is going to happen. It's okay to push things a few weeks when it does, if it means that you're going to show up with more energy and clarity. If I'd forced myself to stick to the dates, I don't think we would have had the signups we did because I would not have been in the right mind space. I would have been glazed over. People would have been able to tell, right? So truth about Evergreen. While Evergreen's amazing in so many ways, consistent sales, meets people where they're at because they can join when they're ready, it's not as simple and easy as it sounds, especially if you're selling higher ticket program. That's simply because of the customer journey length. People need time to say yes to a higher ticket program. So even though your pitch might happen after a 5-day course like mine did, or at the end of a webinar, don't be surprised or defeated if it takes them a few more months to raise their hand and join. Make sure you have a good follow-up sequence or system in place for them. How to keep them engaged during this time, during this nurture time. Nurture email sequence so that they keep you top of mind. Have something going out to them every week that's like reiterating. It's putting marbles in our relationship coaches use this all the time. I love this analogy. They're like, how can you put a marble in today, right? We always try to put these big boulders in, but are there little marbles that you can put in, little like nuggets that's like, ooh, she's top of mind again because help me with that, right? DM contact. Always have people give you their IG handle when opting into anything. So you can follow up in the DMs, reply to their stories, like their posts. Again, you're top of mind here for them. Do mini push periods, as mentioned on the last slide. Almost every single person who joined my push period in May and June came from the funnel at the end of March, beginning of April. Okay, so we had a lot go on there. Let me just look really quick. I'm gonna stop my share for 1 second and take a sip. So you can see my face. Hi. I think you can still see my face when I'm sharing though, right? I'm pretty sure. How do you guys like my my cool sign? I think it lights up, but I think I also might have lost that part. So yeah, my husband's like, he was hanging it up and he's like, is this supposed to light up? I was like, I thought so, but I don't know where it is. So that's fun. We're trying to find that because I love this sign. I'm obsessed. It's so great. Yeah, it's supposed to, but I'm not surprised. That's something I would do. He was like, You lost the light, didn't you? I was like, I don't know. Don't yell at me. Don't yell at me. Okay. Okay. Next one. Next audit, money. And this is only the A. We're going to get to the P, E, and C. I'm going to go through this quick. So take a screenshot of this. What is your relationship with money like? Do you tend to spend it the second you get it? Do you hoard it? Do you worry about it constantly? Do you ever think it's enough? Right? Do you never think it's enough? If you haven't taken this, I highly recommend it. I'm going to drop it in the chat for you. This is a money personalities quiz. HTTPS 5moneypersonalities.com. So my husband and I actually took this. It says it's for couples, something we did with our relationship coaches, but you take it as an individual. So you don't have to be in a relationship to take it. If you are in a relationship, highly recommend having your partner take it as well. Number 2, what is your comfort level with money? How much do you need on a monthly, quarterly, yearly basis to feel safe? To pay your bills, save for your future? How much do you need to feel abundant? Reinvest in your business in a bigger way, spend on luxuries that you want to spend on, right? So my story, very quick, like I told you, I'm going to give a little snippet with each one so you can see how this applies and any strategy that comes along. I am a security seeker / spender when I took that. I'm sure some of you will have that, which means I'm a whole mess. No, I'm just kidding. But it really means I have an opposite dynamic. I seek security and I spend. And I have frequent internal conflict. So fun, so fun. One side of my brain says security, 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 save, save, save. And the other side says spend, 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 especially on things I think will help bring us more security, right? This is quite common for entrepreneurs as we tend to spend on things that we think will give us security. Investments in our business to increase income as an example. We will dive into this a bit more in the expense section in a little bit. Okay, the next thing, take a screenshot of this, your happiness audit. As silly as that sounds, why are we doing what we're doing if we're not going to be happy while we're doing it, right? I interviewed Kelsey Kenrai and her husband for my Couples Combos podcast. Definitely go follow Kelsey on Instagram. It's at Kelsey Kenrai, which is Koenreich. It does not sound like it is spelled. I had to learn how to say her last name. But on the interview, she said, your quality of life really determines your level of success. And that's just like, I loved that. It was so juicy. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy were you each month in the last 12 months? Like I want to actually go through each month. After this call, I would literally do a month-by-month analysis if I were you. Number 2, how did your business contribute to this happiness or lack thereof? Number 3, what were the few moments you were happiest? What was occurring during those moments? How, if at all, did your business contribute to them? I'm sure it did in some way, right? Like we were saying before, money gives you choices, money gives you freedom, and your business is creating money. So there's going to be something with that. So my story with this, I made a very big decision at the end of 2020, like I told you at the beginning of this class, to consciously cut income without a plan to replace it. I knew creating that plan and seeing it through would take time and energy. And if I tried to keep up at the rate I was going while implementing a new plan, I would have 100% reached burnout. 100%, and probably be divorced if I was going to be really honest with you. So I put my ego to the side and I tried my best not to care how it looked on social media. And I got rid of a lot of fucking money. And it was terrifying. And 2021, while one of the hardest years in business, mainly due to ego and my identification with worth and money, also started to change my happiness. And by early 2022, I started to experience this wave of happiness and peace, no matter how much money I brought in and no matter how a launch or strategy worked. It's kind of hard to explain, but it was like, whoa, what's happening? This was wildly different from years before where my mood was completely determined by my business success, but only for a hot second. Right. And I believe that my marriage would not have survived what my husband and I went through last year, right? With everything that happened to us last year, if we didn't take those steps back from the business in 2021, that year, we didn't know it at the time. You never know why you're going through shit, right? Set us up to handle last year. And we are stronger now than ever. My marriage is strong. My relationships are tight. My health is in check. That's my number one priority. And ironically, when those things line up, my business ventures fall into place way more easily, right? The last thing I'm going to have you, I think this is the last thing in my audit section of the APEC framework, is I want you to audit your client success. Referring back to the beginning of this workshop, your business is going to be way more profitable when you retain clients because it's cheaper than acquiring new ones, right? Cheaper in time, energy, and sometimes money if you're using ads. So who are the clients you enjoy working with the most in the last year? What do they have in common? What are their personality traits? What is their lifestyle like? What part in the customer journey are they at? Beginner, intermediate, or advanced? What moments did your clients have the most success? And can you link their success back to any specific exercises or strategies you did together? This is a little snippet of an exercise I do with my clients when I help them define what I call your unique coaching method. Really, what is that thing that's going to help brand you and help you stand out from everyone else in your industry? And that like sets the stage for so many decisions in your business. How can you link this back? This is going to help you figure this out. So my story, a huge portion of my business, especially one-on-one type offers and mastermind, comes from clients continuing or referrals. And this is honestly not surprising to me because client experience is number one for me. I will try to serve my current clients first and foremost before I try to acquire new ones. All right, take a sip of water. We're going to go into the P of the APEC framework. I think so, Britt. I think so. I think there were 5: energy, money, happiness, client success. I feel like there was a 5th. I'm not sure now. I'm not sure. I think there was though. All right, we're going to dive into P. And someone else remembers one that I totally forgot. Yeah. Okay, P. So P stands in the APEC framework, stands for programs, profit, and potential. Programs, what are your current programs? I'm going to take a picture of this and do this later. What are all your current programs? Brain dump them all. Now, profit-wise, right? First, write out what your sales were for each one. So I recommend having like program on the left, what was the profit from it on the right? What was the sales from it on the right? Then write out what the expenses were for each program. What did you have to spend to make that money? And then write out what your profit was for each program. This is so big. You could have a program that brings in a crap ton of sales, but you also spent a lot of money or time or energy on it. Is the profit worth it for you, right? You got to look at that. That's really, really huge. And then potential, which offers do you feel have the most potential, whether the same as the profit answer or something different? Which do you love the most? If you could have them, all your sales come from this one program, which would you choose? And it might not even exist yet, right? Or you're the one that the offer that you really need to lean in on, double down on, might be one of your current offers that you are tweaking a tiny bit. It might be one little change that makes such a difference. So which programs give you energy and which deplete you? And I want you to kind of think back to that section we just did with energy. When you think of this program, we all have had these programs that when you think of it, you're like, oh God, no, can't do it, right? You're exhausted. You're exhausted even just thinking about it, right? So what are the programs that get that reaction? And then what are the programs that you're like, I get lit up by this thing. I get so excited to talk about it. It's my favorite thing, right? And really do an audit. If your reaction to the one that's depleting you is like that every time, is there something you can change in it to rearrange it, right? You don't necessarily have to get rid of it, but how can you rearrange it? How can you change it around a little bit? So my story, when I did this evaluation, I realized 2 things. One, I love in-person experiences, and they energize me big time. This led me to promoting my VIP days more fully and adding a 2-day in-person experience to my one-on-one coaching. And my clients really love this too. In fact, one of my private clients said her biggest growth moment in our time was at the VIP experience because we got really clear about her coaching model, and it depicted her now amazing membership that she's developed. And it was so fucking exciting for her to see that big picture. And the in-person experience was it for her. That was it. I structured the price of these 2 offers in a way that covered my expenses and still left me with a good profit and attracted the right client, right? These offers, the VIP and the one-on-one, are not for beginners, but entrepreneurs who are established in their business and who, even though this might be a stretch for them financially, it's not going to break the bank for them, right? While I love one-on-one, I really need to limit the amount I take on, as stated in the past, right? I have very specific prereqs for people to apply. And the reason being is one of my goals is to grow my audience and my personal brand. That's a huge focus for us this year. So we can start bringing on strategic partnerships and brand deals, as well as get sponsorships for the podcast. And I need a lot of white space in my calendar for creation time to do that, right? And having a ton of one-on-ones was not going to give me that white space. So I leaned into my group program, which brought in the most revenue for us in 2022, besides one-on-one coaching, and restructured my mastermind to only have quarterly one-on-ones and no private Voxer, as explained earlier in this workshop. So we did this. We looked at all the programs, we looked at the profit it was bringing in, and we looked at the potential. So let go of thinking that you have to give all of you to every client. I know that's really common. We think that we have to give everything. And if we're not giving everything, then we're not giving value. We're not giving all of ourselves, right? But I want you to remember that it depends on what level they're at. what stage of their journey they're at, they can't actually, some people can't mentally commit to something that is meant for a more advanced person in your journey, right? And it's going to do them a disservice too. I personally give a lot in my coaching, whether it's one-on-one or group. That's just who I am. But I had to realize that someone having access to me all the time is not necessary for every offer. In fact, it would hurt some of their progress, right? If they relied on me too much in this way. I found that these adjustments not only increased my profit and decreased my energetic output and amount of hours, but also help my clients step up and take even more radical responsibility for their results, not needing me, but coming to me for genuine guidance and support after they've already made some decisions. All right, now we're going to move to expense evaluation. Woof. This is a big one. So really taking a good look at my expenses was a huge reason we increased profit, right? No surprise there. And this is like a simple one that I don't think we do. So I was paying for things that were very nice to have, but not essential. And I couldn't really track it back to return on investment. I was like, did this help me have an ROI, right? We could have, and I wanted to say something really quick about ROI. ROI doesn't have to be financial, right? We're talking about financial, obviously, that's the point of this. But if something doesn't give you an ROI financially, but it really feels, and I'm talking for your business, obviously, if you're selling different kinds of coaching, that's different. But you're all business owners. When you're investing in your business, maybe it's not going to give you an ROI financially, but it's going to give you peace, or it's going to give you clarity, or it's going to give you something else that eventually will give you a financial ROI. So I really want you to have that journey when you're looking at all your investments. Maybe it wasn't like the next month, right? But it's something that definitely contribute in some way to your ROI. I also was paying for things that we could have other team members take on because it wasn't a specialty skill like copywriting or design. I think of that as a specialty skill. I wouldn't just hire a VA to do copy or design if they don't have those skill sets, right? So I hire copywriters, hire designers specifically for those. But there were a ton of things that I was outsourcing that my team could have done. So, and also I was paying for things that I was trained to believe I had to have when I got to a certain level. I thought I had to have it. And that was huge. When I had a lot of growth, I started hiring. And all of a sudden I had all these people on my team. And I was like, I just need to make money to pay my team. And it was wonderful. And I was so glad that I was able to employ all these people. It was amazing. But a lot of it wasn't necessary. And it almost made me feel like a little removed. I'm going to get to that in a second. So things to consider, take a screenshot of this. What are your essential operating costs? Like you have to have this to operate your business the way it's structured right now. That can change if you change the structure, right? Remember that. Number two, what are not? Be honest with yourself. What's not essential? Number three, what costs can you drive back to your profit, which had a direct ROI? Is there anything you can have a current team member take on more of? So my story in 2021, I started diving into Facebook ads and I spent $30,000 on one launch, mainly to cold traffic. Now, I think long-term, this wasn't a bad decision because people take years to invest sometimes, right? You've probably invested in people that you've spent years watching and you've had clients who have watched you for years and finally invest with you, right? But when I look back to that launch, I am very confident that I would have had the same results without ads. I really think I could have saved $30,000 and had the same exact results because of my warm audience, which is what we did for my second launch that year when I opened up enrollment for my group program for the first time. We only spent about $4,000 on ads just to the warm market, and we had over a six-figure launch. Then in 2022, we started cold ads back up, but on a monthly basis with a lower budget, around $2,000 a month. 2 months of this led to our $55,000 in sales. Pulling back and spacing these investments out helped us take stock of what was working, what wasn't, and how we could adjust versus just a lump sum. And also made me realize that while ads are great, organic marketing is so powerful, right? So I dove back into content strategy and I started having many reels go viral. And I started to send people to my funnel organically while we pulled back on ads. And I also hired a strategic OBM VA, shout out to Claire Lemos. She's the GOAT who took over a lot of the responsibilities that we were divvying up between many team members. She's an organized genius, and not having the feeling of like needing to double check things that I felt with previous hires had massively increased my energetic output. You know how frustrating it is? I know you've all been here when you're like assigning things, but in the back of your mind, you're like, is this getting done? And sometimes that's on you, right? There's occasions where I've done that in the past where it was me. I had to let go of control That was hard. But then there were some times where it was literally just not getting done the way you wanted it to. And it was either because you hired someone who wasn't skilled at what they were supposed to do, or honestly, they probably weren't getting paid enough too. That happens a lot. And I'm sure you've been in that situation, right? And just having that peace of mind helped my energetic output so much last year. I also had my husband start to take over our podcast editing and took over the content. I took over the content promo piece of the podcast, saving $1,500 a month. This helped my husband feel valued in the business, was the start to him realizing he wanted a bigger role in the company, and helped me have my pulse on the podcast more. I found I was outsourcing so many things that I almost lost touch with a lot of it, right? My biggest social growth in 2023 is to 5 times our podcast listenership. And we doubled it in 2022, which is amazing. But we're ready to go big. And already having my hands in it more and making it a huge priority, we have seen it grow tremendously. And it's only been about 4 months since we've made these changes. I love outsourcing. I'm a big believer in that, right? I believe you cannot scale without help. But I also find that a lot of people, myself included, hire too many people too fast, to the point where they're just working to pay their team, right? And so I wanted to simplify systems and get my hands back in the business a bit more. Not only did we increase profit because I could really see what was happening, but I spent, ironically, less time working because of it. My work was focused and concentrated, and the roles in my team were more clearly defined. All right, let me just look at the chat. This is so great. One of my issues this year was getting honest about it being time to let go of expenses. Yep. It's tough. It's tough. Of course. No, I want to, yay. Oh, I'm so glad this is helping you guys. Yay. Do me a favor too. I should have said this at the beginning. Take a screenshot, share, tag me on social. Okay. That was awkward. It's fine. Let me take a quick. All right. Give me a, we're almost done. This is the last one, I promise. Give me a 6 in the chat if you're feeling good and excited. And give me a 7 if you're feeling good and overwhelmed. I'm only giving you options to feel good for my sanity, for myself. It's totally cool. Overwhelm's not a bad thing. I think we all act like overwhelm's such a bad thing. It's not. If you're just real quick, side note, I had a meeting yesterday with my team, my husband and Claire, and we are redoing our whole product suite this year. Not our whole, we're just tweaking a lot of things. We're adding some things, and we're kind of going back to a lot of things that we did in the past, but in a more elevated way. It's kind of like a coming home year for us. And we had a 3-hour meeting between my meeting with him, with my husband and Claire, my OBM, and then me and my husband had a separate meeting. And by the end of it, I was so excited, but I was also like, oh my God, there's so much happening. And I broke down, but it was good, excited tears, And so I just think that overwhelm gets such a bad rep. Usually you're feeling that because you're freaking excited, and it's okay. You can step back and go, I don't have to do all this second, right? December's plans don't need to happen right now. So I just want you to look at overwhelm maybe in a slightly different way, because it's not necessarily a bad thing. It doesn't mean it's going to happen it's not going to last forever. You just got to look at what are the first steps that you need to take. Okay. So just want to say that really quick. I'm going to look at the chat. Potential. Exactly. You have the potential. You have the potential. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. Change. All right. The last of my APEC framework. What changes need to be made in order to move forward confidently to increase your profit this year? Based on the audit you did. Again, I want you to do this more fully, obviously, when you're not on a class, when you can have time to do this. I'm sure there are more than 3 that come to mind, but a lot of times one change, one really focused change will take months to execute. So it's better to focus in on 1 to 3 really well than do 5 half-assed. And I say this from experience. Try not to change everything at once. I'm a big believer in focus, but I struggle with that sometimes because I want to do everything. Take a screenshot of this. I want you to consider the following. Do you need to focus on the team delegation expense part of this audit, right? What can you change around on your team? Where can you delegate more? Leverage the amazing team you already have. Where can you cut expenses? Where can you invest in a way that will eventually save you money, right? Like a VA, like an OBM. Maybe you need a session with a business coach who's going to help you map out something that you're going to make money on. Where can you allocate differently? Evergreen versus live launching, like we talked about. When can you live launch, and when can you possibly implement an evergreen strategy to bring in more consistent sales? Again, like I said, knowing it's going to take a while for people to convert if your offer is higher ticket. offers. What offers do you want to go all in on to bring in good money and that align with your desired energetic output? Which have the most potential, which don't, but just having them there are draining you, right? It is nothing, there's nothing wrong with changing your mind, with getting rid of things, with saying, hey, we tried it this way, it didn't work. Or it worked, but it didn't work the way I want it to. At the level I want it to, we're switching things around. We're switching things around this year. We're switching things around in a pretty big way. And I'm actually going back to doing some things that I used to do, but in a, again, more elevated way. And it's okay. It's okay to be like, hey, we're changing shit up because we realize we could be more effective. We realize we could help our clients even more, right? That's not a bad thing. And I don't know why we sometimes think it is, right? It's a good thing. It means you're actually on the pulse with your clients and you care and you want things to get better. You don't want to just rest on your laurels. You're like, I want to improve. And then your selling approach. What approaches are simply not working for you anymore? What are 1 to 3 changes you can make to these strategies to test out? Usually you don't need to change everything or burn it all to the ground, but one small tweak that can have a big impact. So what used to work isn't working anymore, right? Who feels that way? Some things are, but some things aren't. Right? It is a different space out there. The online space is not the same as it used to be. So I want you to execute the audit that we just did, but really a lot of clarity is going to come from that. But also evaluate the strategy and do a SWOT analysis. So I want you to comment below what specific strategy, when I say, I just want to make this clear. When I say evaluate the strategy, whatever you're doing that you feel isn't working anymore. I've talked to a lot of you before this class. And a lot of you said, I feel like I'm doing something that's not working as much anymore. And you don't need to comment if you're not comfortable. That's totally cool. I get it. It's kind of a vulnerable ask, honestly. So I understand if you don't want to comment, but what specific strategy that you feel you used to work isn't working the way it used to anymore for you, right? I want you to type that in the chat box. And that's what I want you to do a SWOT analysis of. This is going to help you determine what can stay from this strategy and what needs to change. And it's going to be different for everyone. You're all doing different things, right? So strengths, when you look at this strategy that used to work but isn't anymore, what was working well with this strategy in the past? And more importantly, what part is currently working? Even if it's not flowing beautifully or at the level it used to, what is still kind of working? What unique resources or skills can you leverage with this strategy? What is something that you're like, oh, I'm kind of known for this part of the strategy, or this feels really good, I want to make it work, right? So there's probably something there you can still hold on to. So what are the strengths of that strategy? Take a screenshot. You're going to pretty much take a screenshot of all these slides. Weaknesses. What part of the strategy has totally stopped working? Where's the leak, right? Where's the friction? This is where you can find out what part of your process is broken, for lack of a better word. It's broken, but it is, right? If something's not working the way you wanted it to, something is broken. There's a leak somewhere. We all have this experience. So what part of it has stopped working? Take a screenshot of this. There's a lot of gold here. Are you getting leads, for example, into your process, but they're not watching your entire challenge through? Let's say there's an opportunity there to optimize the challenge. Are you having people watch your entire challenge, but not applying? Let's take a look at the actual application process. Are you making them jump through hoops to apply? Or is your sales copy not hitting on the points it needs to get them to apply? Are you simply not getting enough opt-ins, right? Opportunity for your organic content strategy, focusing on creating content series to really stand out on social and bring in more leads from viral type content. Maybe you just have a lead generation problem. Also an opportunity to look at your top of funnel, your lead magnet, and reevaluate if it's enticing enough for people to opt into. Maybe it's not anymore. Maybe it needs it needs some flair. It needs an update, right? People value their time. Even something free needs to be juicy enough for them to say yes to. And then lastly, what are your competitors doing? Or no, sorry, SWOT. There's 2 others. This isn't lastly. What are your competitors doing with this similar strategy? How is it similar to yours? How is it different? And I recommend you go through it. Like go through their process, opt into their lead magnet, see what emails they're sending you, see how they're pitching you. You're not going to copy them, but see what is happening. People who are saying things are working, go through their process and see what their process is like and why it's working. Now, what are the opportunities with this strategy? What industry market opportunities are present? What do you see working for other people that you can try? Again, as long as it's in alignment with you, how can you make it your own? Remember, marketing is all an experiment. One thing works for someone and it doesn't work for another. Someone's like, I have this tried and true process, or this strategy, this hack, it works like gold. Someone tries it and they're the exact ideal client. They're at the level, they have all the prereqs and it doesn't work for them. right? And they keep trying it, they keep trying it, it doesn't work for them, but it works for someone else. That's just natural. It's going to happen. It's an experiment. It depends on your audience. It depends on so many factors. How can you leverage your strengths that you just listed out before? Remember, when you did your humble brag at the beginning of this, are these strengths a part of your selling strategy? This specifically is something I really help my clients with, because I can't tell you how many times someone will give me their humble brag and we'll talk about their strengths and what they're known for and how they help their clients get the most amazing results. And that's like nowhere in their selling process. Like it's not in their strategy at all. Like let's say they're really amazing at live coaching. They love live coaching. They're not doing any free coaching call strategies. They're not doing any podcasts that show them actually coaching on their podcast. They're not showing that part, or they're not doing those VIP upgrades, right? People need to see that magic happen. When they see that magic happen, they purchase, right? So how can we implement that in? I've literally done that part with clients, and it's helped their conversion because their strength was front and center, right? Or are you hiding your strengths, right? Because you're like, oh wait, but this mentor or this person I love following who makes a ton of money, they said I have to do it this way, so I have to do it this way. Or my friends are all doing it this way. My friend, there are a million ways to run your business. There are a million ways to see success. We got to leverage what you're really great at instead of trying to force you and fit you in a box, right? So what trends in general can you take advantage of that you really love, that feel really aligned for you? And then lastly, with any SWOT analysis, what is your competition currently doing? Do your weaknesses expose your business? Like what you're not doing really well? Is it kind of putting you, or what's not going well, is it kind of putting you in a vulnerable spot? What threats can hurt your business? Whew, that was a lot, my friends. So a little recap, because I want to bring it all home. Change one, perspective on money and reclaiming confidence. Alter ego, baby. Your version of Sasha Fierce. You have to have that to make all these changes you want to have the profit you want. Change two, customer retention. How can you retain your customers? And I want to just say something really quick about this second one. If you had a lot of clients in previous years, maybe you're like, Meg, last year it just didn't go as planned, or maybe it did go as planned, but say it didn't go as planned. And a lot of your clients that you really loved working with were actually from 2021 or 2020. You can still reach out to them. If they had a great relationship with you or had a really good working relationship, you can still reach out to them. So I just want to make that really clear. I think sometimes when we're doing this work, we think, oh, that's so long ago. It's like, no, if they've had amazing results with you and they really value your opinion, they're going to want to talk to you about this too. So I just want to reiterate that really quick. Okay. Change number two, like I said, customer retention. And then change number three, a proper audit and expense evaluation. We need to make sure that you are evaluating your everything correctly, right? You got to go through that APEC framework. I really recommend taking the time to do this. So now what? Now what, Meg? Even though you just got a lot, I hope out from this workshop, I hope you know that you can't just copy paste what I did and get the exact 100K profit increase, because you're different and you need your own unique Biz Remodel plan, right? It's like I'm a doctor prescribing something, right? I'm not, but like the doctor's not going to give the same analysis to every single person. Everyone is different. You could have certain symptoms, but need a different diagnosis because of the way that you run your business, right? So I really, really want you to remember that. I'm going to look at the chat in a minute, I promise. So if you really want help with this, if you're like, this was amazing, but I know I want hands-on help with this, I want to lock my profitability plan, say that 5 times fast, down for 2023, there are 3 ways that I can personally help you map out your full remodel and execution plan to make more profit this year. I'm going to bust through these really quick so we could spend the rest of the time on questions. So first is a 90-minute intensive that I do. This is either used for an overall audit, like it's really going to be the A in the APEC framework, but we're going to touch on the P in the framework, your product suite. We're going to evaluate that. I'm going to give you the C, the suggested changes. The expense evaluation and the details of the launching, obviously it's 90 minutes. We can't get into all of that, but those are a few things that we can do there. This is done through 90-minute Zoom intensive and also a week of Voxer coaching. I book 4 a month for the next 3 months. You can use this for Biz Remodel audit and overview plan, basically taking you through the A, the P, and the C of that framework, unique coaching method brand development, content planning for more lead generation, whether it's for a specific launch or your go-to plan for between live launches, how to really use your content to position you as an expert and build your brand. Overall 2023 planning, maybe you're like, I need an overall like view on where I'm going. I don't even know that direction anymore because I've changed so much around. We can't get really nitty gritty. It's 90 minutes, but we can plan out your main focuses, launches, and dates. So you kind of can reverse engineer that on your own. Or product suite development and customer journey mapping. What are your current offers? How can they be tweaked? How can we add upsells, downsells, make sure you're meeting your customer where they're at? And here are just some fun little screenshots from intensives that I have done. And then special for you guys. So normally it's $2,500, but for you guys, it is gonna be $2,000 until January 1st. As long as you put down a deposit by January 31st, you get $500 off. And that includes 2 weeks of Voxer support for implementation, questions, and brainstorming after the session instead of one. So not only are you getting it for $500 off, you're also gonna get 2 weeks instead of one. The second way I can help you execute all of this is with my VIP day, which is really focused on biz remodeling and 2023 expansion, everything in the 90 minutes, plus specific detailed action plan for the changes that need to be made, whether that's mapping out an entire launch plan, including content strategy, or behind the scenes selling plan for your content. That's done through a 45-minute pre-work call to set us up, a full day in person together, or 5 hours of coaching virtually spread out throughout 3 days. No one wants to sit on a computer screen for 5 hours if we do it virtual. And then 1 week of Voxer support post VIP day. This can be used for a lot of the same things that the 90 minute is just going to be way more in depth because we have a day together versus 90 minutes. And this is some sweet stuff from my past VIPers. Her knowledge is out of this world, coming from someone who's already a 7-figure entrepreneur. I wasn't sure if I'd have much more to learn. Boy, was I wrong. Meg's a master of strategic planning, breaks down the content strategy in a way that anyone and everyone can fully comprehend. By the end of the day, I had my entire rest of my year planned out, along with all of my content as well. Some really beautiful things. I won't just read things about. I'm very awkward with this. Can you tell? I'm very awkward about like sharing my wins sometimes. I don't know why. It's like, hey, look at me. But they did it. They did it. I was the guide, right? I'm really good at guiding people in this way. One of my VIP day clients, we did it in Vegas. Actually, it's already working within 2 weeks of our VIP day, and I've made over 6,000 in sales by some of the changes that we made. I will say her changes specifically were pretty immediate. Like these were things that she could implement right away. Some VIP days, it's for launches months down the line, right? So it's just going to depend. So normally my VIP days come with 1 week of Voxer support after, but for this special, I am offering a month of Voxer support with no extra cost. So in person, these days are $7,500, virtual, they're $4,500. I do have custom payment plans. In fact, most people do a payment plan because we book them months out usually. So again, the workshop special includes 4 weeks of basically one-on-one coaching, normally 1 week of Voxer support, and you're going to get 4 weeks instead. That's an additional $750 value right there. And then lastly, if you're like, I don't want a one-off, I really want to go all in. I need something that's longer term. I have a one-on-one coaching package and it's 6 months. I think I have, do I break that down for you here? I don't think I break that down for you here. I'm just talking about my 3 month, but I have a full blown 6 month. That's going to be for someone who's making at least $15,000 a month in their business, who really wants that hands-on, who wants that 2-day in-person retreat, things like that. But I have a modified one-on-one offer available right now until the end of the month. We're going to go over the complete APEC framework applied to develop your profit plan, ongoing support during implementation for real-time feedback, and mindset support when you start to doubt yourself, right? Or that imposter syndrome sneaks in. And that's going to be done for 3 months through monthly 90-minute calls, Monday through Friday, one-on-one Voxer. And that does include material review. That includes me looking at sales pages, emails, etc. All of that. Here are some fun screenshots from private clients. This pay in full is $8,500 or payment plan $3,000 a month. And this is a workshop special in itself because I don't do this. I usually only have my full blown one-on-one, which is 6 months, and has different deliverables. Oh, I do have it here. I was like, I thought I had that somewhere. So if you're like, I want to jump right to the 6, I know I want to do all in, let's go. This is again, for someone who's making at least $15,000 a month in their business, monthly 90-minute calls, Monday to Friday, one-on-one Voxer, 3 SOS calls to use anytime throughout the 3 months, all courses for life, and 2-day in-person experience, which is honestly my favorite part about it. It's $24K pay in full with a bonus 90-minute call or payment plan, $4,000 deposit with 6 monthly payments of $3,333. So which offer is right for you? If you know you want some help with this, it's going to depend. It's going to depend on what your goals are, how fast you want to or can achieve them with your current life, right? What's going on for you right now. what you're wanting to invest financially. That's a huge factor, obviously. Whether you're in need of a quick burst of clarity and direction to implement yourself, right? And you're like, I'm good, let me give it to my team to run with, or you want some more hands-on guidance and a little bit more long-term support to guide you through those. You want to take a quick picture of this if you're like, I want to apply for one of these, but I'm just not sure which one. Here's a nice visual for you to see what you get from everything: the 90-minute, the VIP day, and the one-on-one coaching. So you take a nice little screenshot. Isn't this pretty? I like this. So to get started, step one, you're going to fill out the short general application that I'm going to link in the chat for you right now. It's pretty short. It won't take you too long, but it's very, very important that you fill this out, because otherwise I will not know what option is best for you. Let me go back to here, present mode. Step two, after you apply, message me and let me know you applied on Instagram, so we can start talking about what option will be best for you. I will reach out also after you apply if you don't, but just do that. That would help. And again, remember that, and we're going to go over questions that you have from the workshop, from offers, anything like that. But I just want you to remember, anytime that you are applying to anything, this isn't just with me, this is with anyone, it's to start the conversation, right? You've got to be serious about it, right? Don't just apply to see, like, to have a conversation, just to chat, right? I want you to be really, really intentional, like, hey, I want help with this, but it's to start a conversation to see if we're a good fit together. I will never take someone on just because they can pay me, ever. I want to make sure it's right for them. Do you even need this right now? Or do you need something else? Is it more beneficial that you save up for a VIP day, let's say, instead of an intensive? Because we want to get to the deepness. We don't want to just put a Band-Aid on something, right? We want to really get nitty gritty. Some people, they're not going to need the deep stuff. They're just going to need a quick intensive to get clarity on one little thing and then run with it. Some people are like, I really need long-term support to redo a lot. So it just totally depends. So just if you have any questions about that, make sure you reach out to me, DM me on Instagram. All of these specials right now, those extra weeks of Oxer, the discount on the intensive, are until January 31st. So make sure you reach out by then and apply by then. And all it requires is a deposit, because most of these things are going to happen in February, March, April, May. I usually book ahead of time, especially for VIP days. So what questions do y'all have, whether it's any of those offers, whether it's anything we went over in this class? I want to have a couple more minutes to give you guys a chance to ask some questions. And I'm promoting you to panelist. If you see a little promote a panelist, that's just to help you be able to post in the chat box, because you can't otherwise. I did something, I don't know what I did. Zoom is fun. Let me look at the chat. I feel like we all get awkward with sharing testimonies. I like to call it out. That's my thing, guys. Call it out. Like, just bring it out when you're like, hey, this is awkward. I'm going to talk about how great I am for a few minutes. So, and all the amazing things I've done. It's weird. Like, it's just weird. So I find calling it out is helpful. What did Ebony say? I want to see monthly membership community. The money's great, but people lack execution. And I am not the coach that can detach myself from the client results. I'm driven by them. Yeah. I hear you, Ebony. I'm very, very much with you. Yeah, memberships are hit or miss. I've seen people have incredibly successful memberships. Love them, adore them, swear by them. And they sound amazing, right? Low ticket, like low energy, all of that. But sometimes it's not low energy and it can be really draining. So I'm glad you shared that. You got to be like mentally ready. And also you have to make sure that you're making it for the right reasons. My private client that we had this 2-day intensive with, she just launched a membership. And if you're in need of help in the sexual area, I highly recommend checking it out. It's called The Community, but it's spelled C-U-M. It's spelled C-U-M-M-U-N-I-T. Isn't that amazing? We came up with that at the Ebony, I'm here for it. We came up with that at our 2-day intensive, and we were like, that's it. This is it. I was like, this is the best name of anything I've ever seen. I'm dying. Anyway, she really, and this is just an example of what we could do together too. We saw that there was this gap in the industry. There's a lot of high ticket coaching. There's a lot of low ticket master classes, one-off things, right? But especially with the recession and where the economy was, a lot of people weren't putting their money into sex coaching, right? They're like, I need to invest in other things. That's not where my money's going to go, but I know I want help in this area. So we're like, let's come up with a cost-effective way, but for people to also commit. They have to commit for, I believe, for a few months. I'm forgetting how long. I think it's at least they have to commit for 3 months. So it's not a just like you can dip in and dip out. So there is more commitment. But we filled a gap, and it's like it's already going to be so incredible, like the process that we're taking them through. So that was a very intentional membership, filling a gap for a very specific purpose, and in an industry that the client really needed something lower ticket. You know what I mean? So, and like, kind of like Ebony said, it's the result isn't so much the same as like business coaching, for example, or health coaching. Like your sexual relationship is going to constantly evolve. It's not like, oh, I tried this strategy and I'm a sex goddess now. You know what I mean? It's going to be a very more organic, long-term kind of thing. I know she does have to trademark that. I'm going to have her on the podcast soon to talk about it, because it was just like so incredible. It was so great. Awesome. Any other questions? I'm just looking at the chat. Awesome. Oh yeah, Carla, go for it.
Oh, okay. So I'm curious, because I've been following you for a while, and I remember you were talking about like kind of creating a signature program, and then through that being able to also create like a group coaching program and other offers.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what kept me just like following you, because it just made it was just easy to understand. So in like the private coaching that you're offering, like, is this something that we could go through? Because I think that's like my biggest struggle. It's like, I'm really proud of my 3-month coaching program, but then it's like, how do I make it into a group coaching program where more people will benefit from it, versus just like one-on-one?
Totally. I know. I love that question. It's a great question. Yes. You might've taken the workshop that I had. It's like a 30-minute workshop, and it's basically like how to take your, like you said, your framework, whether it's from your one-on-one, whatever your signature program is, and make it into multiple 100%. And that's honestly like, what you just said is really what I do a lot of times with people who have like one main offer and they want to expand their product suite without like overwhelming themselves. Obviously, what's the next progression, which probably would be group for you. And it's basically taking the framework of your one-on-one and going, how can we make it work for a group? So yeah, that's definitely something I do with clients.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, great question. And the thing I love about doing that too, is it's simple. You already know this process. You got this down. This framework is rock solid. We're just changing the format of the deliverables. You know, you don't need to start over from scratch or create something totally new. And that's where I notice people like get tripped up. They'll spend like a year creating a whole new program because they're creating a whole new framework, where you could do that totally, but you don't have to do that. You already have something that's working.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for that question. Any other questions? Believe it or not, that was done in a pretty good amount of time for myself. So I'm proud of myself. All right, my friends. Well, what I decided, by the way, is I am going to email this out as a recording. I was contemplating, because I want people to show up live. So you're all live. And so I want people to show up live. But if you want to watch some part again, you want to take notes again, you want to take screenshots, all of that, I'm going to be sending that out tomorrow morning. But there is a but. It's only available for 2 days. Truly, like, it's going to expire on the page. You'll see it's going to expire by Friday at like 7 a.m. EST, because I think the email will go out tomorrow at 7 a.m. EST. So if you do want to rewatch it or anything like that, make sure you watch it by Friday at 7 a.m. EST. So by Thursday night. But I really, really encourage you to apply what we did, go through that APEC framework, do that audit. Like, guys, this is stuff that really can change the course of your business this year. And I really want you to take that seriously. And I just appreciate you for showing up, because this was free. A lot of times I'm timid to do stuff that's free, because I want, especially for people who are more established in their business, like all of you on here, because I want you to implement. But I know you, and I know you're going to, so go implement. And again, if you have any questions about any of the offers that I have right now on special, just message me. I would love to help you implement all of this and execute everything really powerfully. So you will be getting an email probably in about 30 minutes with the application, so you can have that handy if you don't have that right now, and we could talk through what would be the best fit for you. Hope to see some of you in my DMs. Thank you for being here. And yeah, I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, and let's go crush 2023. This is going to be your year. This is your year. All right, my friends, love y'all. I'll see you guys in the DMs. Bye.